Shadiversity.
Greetings, I'm Shad.
And greetings, I am Tyranth.
And Tyranth, I need to vent a little bit in this video.
This has been a long time coming. I think we mentioned this a couple of months ago at this point.
Possibly.
It's been a while and I was still unprepared for it. I wanted to bring a whole bunch of my own personal hilts to talk about these things, but I didn't, so I'm just going to have to use image references and explain them to Shad.
Look, I think lightsabers are one of the coolest things ever. As a kid, I've loved them, and I'm not trying to destroy that because it can be done right, what I'm about to criticize here. The thing is though, when you actually do get some of these OG classic lightsabers in your hand and you feel the grips, they are horrible. These are some of the worst handled weapon grips I've ever used. There are baffling protrusions that dig into your hands, weird knobby things, stuff that doesn't give you a proper grip, stuff that gets in the way, things that like reduce your mount to like move your hand up and down. There are so many issues, and
this is why I wanted to bring my lightsabers, because there's a massive piece of context here. Not all of them, but some of these sabers are very inaccurate. Disney official lightsabers are super inaccurate. And then,
that's sad as well.
And then we come to the issue of if you take a look at things like the actual stunt sabers versus the hero props, this is a complex topic. There's a lot to it.
And I still think they're really cool. There's a reason why I love having them, I like playing with them, and some do them way better than others.
Well, there are some designs that are actually kind of good, and then there are some designs that are not very good, but then you've also got to take into that variance of like, sometimes they're just not accurate.
And look, I get why. I understand this. When the original was made, they don't have people who understand weapons making these. They were just looking at something that looks good, and the prop masters need to throw something together that looks sci-fi-y, and then they've had to run with it. It becomes canon. And the thing is, though, I actually like the aesthetic that they have, the sci-fi kind of look lightsabers have.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. The thing is, though, you can actually incorporate the sci-fi design in a handle that is comfortable and functional. And my issue canonically with this is that the Jedi are talented warriors. They know what should work as a functional weapon. And if they are wanting to get the most optimized design, and by the way, anyone who's using a weapon in real combat wants that. They want anything that gives them an edge or advantage in combat.
There's some context here, because as somebody who's actually sparred with lightsabers for hours on end, your hands afterwards are, and I'm talking properly designed ones that are actually for sparring and stuff. So if you were a Jedi trying to craft your weapon, there are designs that you would just never use. Exactly. They're no good.
And that's what my perspective. If I was a Jedi and I was given like even Luke's or Vader's, right? I'd just be like, I would never want to use this.
Okay, yes. This Luke is trash.
You don't like it.
As a lightsaber maker, I will tell you this is not accurate. So this one here, I take with a bit of grain of salt. Yes, the overall look is kind of right, but in terms of the finer details, that is not accurate. These are sharp edges. This is not good. Okay.
And that's a perfect note to launch off of. If you're interested in any of these sabers, we have an affiliate link for both Damian Sabers and End Sabers. I still like them. Tyranth is a bit more. You're a connoisseur of
well,
these.
You opened up that line of questioning.
I know.
End Sabers does great stuff. I actually really like End Sabers stuff.
Take, for instance, a real sword. And yes, this is a training one, but it has all the design things to make the point. This is a highly detailed, expertly designed, sophisticated tool, optimized to achieve the best performance you need or you could get out of it. Everything about this has been done intentionally and has been workshopped through generations of trial and error to find the best thing. The fact that the handle is an oval, right?
For indexing.
For indexing, and that there has a specific taper going down, and that there's a flare on the pommel like this, the width of the crossguard and the angle, the taper of the blade and the weight distribution.
Indexing is an interesting one because lightsabers obviously don't need indexing because they are lightsabers, they're round. However, indexing is actually just more comfortable in the hand. It naturally contours to your hand a bit better. And the Darksaber is a good example of that. This feels in the hand never mind this
Never
bit.
mind the crossguard.
We'll get to that later. But just this part down here feels better than a round
Yeah,
lightsaber.
it actually does. Now, we have a collection of lightsabers here, and Tyranth, do you want to quickly go through the ones that we have?
So this one here is a Fallen Order. This is Cal Kestis. We have a Vader.
I thought this from Jedi Survivor.
Cal Kestis.
I don't know his name.
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor, okay.
Fallen Order, yes. Cal Kestis' lightsaber. We have Vader's. We have a Maul. Jedi thingy games.
Jedi Knight.
Yeah, Jedi Knight games.
I think it might not be in the first one, but yeah, that's his.
We have a Luke hero version. We have a Starkiller V2, I'm pretty sure. An Anakin Attack of the Clones. A Mace Windu. A Leia from, what is it, The Rise of Skywalker.
I only give it a pass because I actually think this is a cool design.
And then we have an ObiWan. This is a Revenge of the Sith version, and then this one here is just a stunt.
Just a stunt one.
Just design saber.
And I have that here because I want to demonstrate something with this one, right? If this was a regular lightsaber and that was the handle, I don't like them. I wouldn't like this one. Even though it's better to grip, it looks too plain. It doesn't have the Star Wars look to me.
But that's the funny thing. If you actually go and buy like a stunt saber, specifically for sparring and stuff, you get a lot of this, and it's comfortable to use, but they look terrible.
I think you can incorporate the Star Wars design better in a comfortable design, which is why I like this one so much. There's one issue I have with this.
Well, it's interesting that you choose that one because this is, like I said, I couldn't bring any of my lightsabers, but there are designs that I personally find very comfortable, and they're actually from some big names and that are very popular. Did you want to talk about this one first?
Yeah. So this one comes from Damian Saber, and it's my favorite. I'm just saying that. All right.
Of his sabers. Yeah.
The thing I hate are these. They dig into your hand.
Yeah,
I've actually, I think I legitimately, real life, going to take those off. But other than that, I love that it's two-handed. It actually has a clear distinction of where the hands grip. You don't always need to choke up a lightsaber. It actually gives you a bit more reach to hold it a bit down. And therefore, I love the kind of exchange of angles here. Where you're not going to grip it, so that's perfectly fine. You got the buttons right near the thumb, and barring these parts, it's actually longer, which means two hands, better leverage on it. This is my favorite by a long country mile.
Interesting. All right. So out of these sabers we have here, specifically the ones that I actually enjoy is the Mace Windu.
Mace Windu's one is interesting.
This one is actually Windu. That's funny.
Sure.
Windu.
Fine.
That was funny because you didn't mean it, but it's a joke because he goes out the window.
Get it?
That's funny. This one here is actually a lot more practical than I originally would have thought, because in terms of design-wise, I'm not the biggest fan, but it's actually kind of comfortable.
I like the bling, and this has actual grips. I think these protrude too far.
I think they're okay.
And lightsabers are interesting because they're not actually swords. We get that. And one of the big differences that I say, I have a video, how would you fight with a lightsaber, right? Still old, but great. I say you would want to maximize your reach with these things. And so instead of holding them up in your main grip, you would actually want to hold them down so long as there's enough balance. This is made for that.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
In terms of the other practical designs we have here, I do think the Starkiller V2 is very good. However, this one here, this is just like I said, this is a manufacturing thing. These edges are a bit sharp here. But you can choke that up, that's fine. And you can use it down here.
Yeah, that's my next favorite.
There's that one. And also, I give points to the Attack of the Clones Anakin, because I think this one isn't perfect, but it's on the right kind of trajectory. This thing here, again, is sharp.
Yeah.
But apart from that, this isn't too bad. It's just this here.
This thing is the biggest annoyance for me.
This sort of thickness is actually also a lot more accurate to what they used on set.
I like that. Like to me, this is a bit too thick, but because it's longer, it balances out. And so that would probably be my only other criticism for it. So this one feels way too thick.
Like, I can give you exact numbers. The original Graflex 3-cell prop used from the original trilogy is about 38 millimeters thick, which is actually kind of thick. When you get into these sorts of sabers, they're actually around like 34 millimeters. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you add on all the extra grips and all that sort of stuff, it makes a difference.
I need to give credit, and I'm ashamed to do this, right? Because it is from the sequels. The Princess Leia one. If you're going for a more, the reason why it actually looks a bit more girly, and I think it suits her quite a lot. Like, imagine the sequels didn't exist, but Leia did become an actual full-trained Jedi in proper canon. I think this would suit her quite nicely.
Sure.
And hang on, it's got a decent grip.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm not the biggest fan, but then again, I'm not a girl, so like,
Yeah.
if this was what we consider a girly saber, it's not my
Yeah.
not much
Because
my
the
taste.
interesting thing is, I did want Damian Saber to send me this one, not because I want to use it, because it is a bit more girly, but I think it would suit my daughter perfectly.
All right, so these are the designs we have, but there are a couple of mentions that I would have liked to show you physically that are actually really good. First one is Obi-Wan Kenobi's episode 1 and 2. It is the one that he gets before this one here.
Yes.
Before that one. It's kind of similar to this. It's it looks very sci-fi, but at the same time it doesn't have too many ridges. It's very holdable in two hands, one or two, and it's actually not bad at all. That's the first one, and the second one would be Dooku's. I personally have one of Dooku's,
curving forward.
and it's very good. It's very nice.
See, that's what I mean. It can be done.
Yeah.
I just find it, and look, yes, it's OG, it's old, they probably weren't paying attention. Still, I feel like Jedi would have made something better.
Well, this is the thing, is they actually know that this is a kind of an issue, because in the prequels they had stunt sabers, stunt hilts.
Yes.
Because they were using them all the time, they actually had little indents for when they would do flourishes and stuff, and they were different to the hero props which you buy and stuff like that. So they know that there's an issue there.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I think there is a good variance of sabers that are actually kind of really practical, but then there's ones that are a bit ridiculous.
And then there's ones where they just want it to be so edgy and cool that they add one of the dumbest kind of crossguard things I've ever seen.
The dark saber is an interesting one, because I kind of like it, but within the specific context of I think it's the wrong way around.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's perfect.
Because
that's fine.
oftentimes you angle a grip like this to get further point, and look at how nice that would snug in.
It's nice and snug. It
now
feels
it's
fine.
backwards.
Has indexing, but for some reason they want to, because this is not the way it's supposed to be held. This here is nice and comfortable, but this is backwards. You can see the edge, which is another issue, is pointing up. This is how it's supposed to be held. That is ridiculously uncomfortable, and all of a sudden I don't have any room for my second hand. Flip it like this, all of a sudden that is perfectly contoured, and I still have all that room for that. I don't know why they just couldn't do that one tiny little thing.
I wonder if a prop person made it to be used like that, but when they got on set, because
they just went, oh yeah, that's
clearly
cool.
because they don't know how that's used.
I think they were just going for a space katana.
Yeah.
That's what they were going for.
No, they should have gone for space longswords ages ago, which they kind of have. They just implemented it very poorly, because crossguards are great.
There's also some other simpler designs, like for example, this one here's the Starkiller one. We have the Ram Coda one, which is basically just a full leather grip. That one is also very practical. So there are practical designs there.
Well, that's probably final point, is a more comfortable surface material that gives you better grip. If your hand gets sweaty on these smooth metal things, so slippery.
I'm okay with it.
You are?
Because I'm using gloves most of the time. Most of the time, if you're sparring or doing something, you better have some gloves on. And gloves, I think it's fine with gloves.
But they're not. Who uses gloves when they're like Jedi, though, when they're fighting?
They should.
They should.
That's the issue. They should.
But they don't, and that's why I really do.
Anakin does.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
And Luke in one hand.
Yep. See?
But I like this because it has that leather grip, and the one you made as well.
Yeah.
Leather grip. I like it. So that's just something I wanted to rant about. It's a pet peeve. Wanted to share it with you, and I do it because people who pay attention, right? I was like, okay, if they're going to make a sci-fi property and stuff like that, just a small detail to remember.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I can imagine. I remember when I was a kid and I got my first lightsaber. I'm like, this is so cool. And then I started swinging around. I'm like, ow, this hurts my hand. It's one of those things where the moment you actually use one of these movie props, they're like, this isn't actually that comfortable. There are a lot more designs these days where they make stunt versions of the ones, and there are some designs like these ones that are a bit slimmer. They're a little better. It just depends what you pick, really.
Yeah.
For example, a good example of this is actually this Darth Maul. It's trash.
It's uncomfortable.
But my Darth Maul, from a different manufacturer, is really good. So sometimes it's just a manufacturing problem. Aw, that's a nice little purple pink. Yeah.
Premature ignition. That should be blue.
It's great.
Close. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. And hey, if you want to see a classic video how you should fight with a lightsaber, video right there. You can check it out. You'll enjoy it, and we appreciate you for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.
I was going to recommend High Ground instead.
High Ground?
Yeah, High Ground instead.
That one's also fun.
I'll put that one there too.